or welcome back to the Kia Hyundai channel. My name is Gabby and this is the 2026 Hyundai Tucson Ultimate Hybrid, also known as the Ultimate that comes with the plug-in hybrid variation. Otherwise, today's... Oh my goodness, sorry guys. I don't know if you could tell, but this is a live stream car review. Now in today's video, we're going over fully in-depth everything you get in the Ultimate trim level. Now whether you opt for the hybrid or the PHEV, a lot of the equipment will remain the same, but of course our powertrain is different. Because this is a live stream, you'll also get all of the things that could happen when you're doing something with no editing and only one take. I want to start off this video by saying a very special happy birthday to Ryan DuPont. He is the moderator for our chat, but more importantly, a friend of ours here at the dealership. He makes sure everyone stays classy in the chat, or at least he tries his best to. And then we also have him at a lot of our car events, so he is such a great friend to have. We are so thankful. Whoever's watching live right now, please wish Ryan a happy birthday, because all the work he does on this channel, it does not go unnoticed. We love and appreciate him so much. Anyway, I will get into the car review, I promise you guys, but before I do that, I just want to mention, because it says live, if there's any questions you have throughout the video, please let me know in the live chat box along the side. We'll dedicate a few minutes towards the end towards going over those viewer questions. I'd also like to point out that this is the top of the line model available for the Hyundai Tucson lineup on a hybrid. So fully loaded, you get the Ultimate. Comes with hybrid or plug-in hybrid powertrain options and just about all the equipment you could expect. Now its biggest competitor, or its closest competitor, is the Kia Sportage. Now we just so happen to have a Kia Sportage hybrid in its equal top trim level here in the studio. So if any of you guys would like to see a quick side-by-side comparison between the two vehicles, let me know in the chat and I can certainly make that happen. Funny enough, there's actually only a $104 difference between the two, with the Tucson being the more affordable. Now, MSRP for this particular vehicle is $47,799 Canadian, and that is, of course, before taxes and fees. Let's get into it, starting off with our exterior. I'm going to have Adam take over on the camera. I thought I saw a comment mention the sound and that it is a bit too quiet. Let me know if that is the case, and we can restart the live video, but if I don't hear too much, I'm just going to get right back into it. So on the grille for our Hyundai Tucson, we have a blacked out or darkened chrome for the design elements. You'll notice it almost has a mirror-like finish, very reflective. When I turn off our daytime running lights, you'll see it completely disappears and blends in with the grille entirely. So the way they integrated the design elements of the lights to the grille itself is absolutely flawless in my opinion. The dark chrome also highlights well within exterior paint such as black, so something that's dark. It gives you a little bit more brightness and a bit more contrast without, doing a full all black, black on black look. Looks a little bit more classy in my opinion. For our Ultimate trim level, we'll have forward-facing parking sensors. They also transcend to the side of the vehicle and along our rear bumper, so no matter where you're maneuvering your car, you'll get an audible alert to give you an indication of just how close you're getting. With that audible alert, we also have a visual map that goes between green, yellow, and red when you're getting a bit too close to something, to give you the visual on top of the audible. And if that's not enough, we also have a full 360-degree camera that starts on the Ultimate trim level. This is the only trim in the Hyundai Tucson lineup that has this feature, so if that's a must-have, you gotta get an Ultimate. The Hyundai badge is finished in a blacked out finish. Gotta stop saying those words multiple times. And then for our lower grille, you'll notice we have horizontal slats, and then the skid plate is finished in a nice lighter material. It is more so plastic cladding, but it does have a bit more of an upscale approach in its design. For our powertrain, of course, with the hybrid, we can expect something a little different than the rest of the Tucson lineup. Instead of getting that 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, we instead have a 1.6-liter turbocharged gasoline direct injection engine. Now tied to that is a 47.7 kilowatt electric motor, and that electric motor on its own produces about 64 horsepower. It also produces a ton of instant torque. So if you drive the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid, right after driving a regular gas version of it, you'll definitely notice there's a little bit, I shouldn't say a little bit, there's quite a bit more go for this model. Now you may not expect a hybrid, which has an emphasis on efficiency, to be a little bit more engaging to drive and a bit more fun, but it's a bonus. You save on fuel costs and you go a little quicker. For someone with a heavy foot like me, that is quite quite the experience. Now let's talk about what this horsepower and torque number actually is, and that is going to be 231 horses with 271 pound-feet of torque. Your transmission is a 6-speed automatic, and we do have paddle shifters, which I'll show you guys when we hop over to the interior portion. With your paddles, they don't just change your gear, but depending on your drive mode, you can also have them change the regenerative braking level. So with regenerative braking, it is essentially, instead of your electric motors having the job of propelling you or moving your vehicle, it changes its function and stores energy back into the battery. So when I let off the accelerator to coast or I hit the brake to slow down, I will have that power, instead of being wasted energy, restored back into my battery for later use. This vehicle will spend a lot of its low speed or idle time in EV mode. So where a typical gas car would just be running its engine and getting you nowhere, this car will be sitting in EV, not wasting a drop of fuel. Quite handy. I'll turn the lights back on in just a second, but before I do that, let's take a look at the wheels. These wheels are exclusive to the Ultimate trim level. They're a 19-inch alloy in diameter, and they may look black on camera, but it's actually more of a charcoal finish, metallic charcoal finish for the spoke design. We also have machine finished elements too to give that contrast. I do think this is a very classy looking wheel. A lot of manufacturers opt for all black on their top of the line models. I don't know about you guys, but all black wheels seem to get lost in the wheel well. I like this design a little bit better. Your tire is a Michelin tire with a 235/55 R19 size. They are all-season tires, and the Tucson Hybrid is only available as all-wheel drive here in Canada. Our all-wheel drive system does have a front-wheel bias, so that's great for energy and efficiency come regular driving. But when your vehicle is experiencing a little bit of slippage, I like to say slippage when I talk about the Sportage, we will automatically have power redistribute to the rear. So you don't have to do anything as a driver, but if you do want to, there's a dedicated snow mode, mud mode, and sand mode, all of which will have their own predetermined torque splits, and something like snow mode can also adjust itself automatically. So while it may be primarily 80% in the front, 20 in the rear, if we get extra stuck, it'll automatically correct itself to be a full-on 50/50 if need be. Your brakes up at the front are ventilated disc brakes and will have solid discs in the rear as well as a multi-link rear suspension. The windshield on the vehicle may not look anything too fancy, but it is an acoustic laminated glass, so that will give you a little bit more sound deadening as far as wind and road noise goes. And then in the very center, we have a camera mounted that will take a view of what's happening on the road ahead of you, both for your lane markers, but also traffic. Whether that's vehicle traffic, pedestrians, or cyclists, the vehicle will warn you if it detects the risk of a collision and have the ability to apply brake force or evade a collision too. So if it senses you're not doing anything as a driver, you're not hitting the brakes, you're not maneuvering, the vehicle will apply brake force and try its best to mitigate a collision. Gonna get those lights back on so I can show you guys how the grille transforms. So Adam, if you want to head over to the front, where our daytime running lights are right now, you may not notice them at all. They're completely hidden in with the rest of the exterior styling. Starting up the car, you'll see them come to life. So they're absolutely beautifully integrated into the grille lighting pattern. I'll shut them off again so you guys get the full dramatic effect. Oh, be helpful if I actually turn the car on this time. There we go. We'll also get the hazards on while we're here so you can see what your turn signal indicators would look like. And I'll have Adam work his way over to the rear end of the vehicle. Oh my goodness, the car is going to keep turning off. Now, the unfortunate part about having our new hybrids here on a live stream video is when we're cleaning the car, and this one came fresh off the truck, so there's plastic literally everywhere. By having the door open and the systems on, it will send its battery, its 12-volt battery, into a bit of a depleted mode. So our new hybrids sense when your battery is running low, the 12-volt battery that is, and puts it in a sleep mode. When it's in sleep mode, in order to jump start it or restart it, you don't actually grab your jumper cables. Instead, there's a button inside the cabin that allows the high voltage battery to send a wake-up call to the 12-volt. So if you are someone who frequently does drive-ins, or you just like leaving lights on in your cabin and waking up to a dead car, you don't have to have the booster pack with you. Just one button and it recycles it or resets it. I'll quickly talk about the side profile before we get into the interior. So for our door handles, you may notice that there is no button on the handle itself. Instead, we have 3 small lines. Now this still gives us proximity entry, But instead of reaching for that button or pressing the button, you'll simply reach for the handle, the car will unlock, and then when you're done driving, pressing it again to lock it. You also have digital key entry allowing you to unlock, start, and drive your vehicle all from your smartphone. The pillars on the vehicle are finished in gloss black, and up along the top of our window trim, we have a satin chrome belt line for contrast. Just like what we see up the front, a mix of lighter materials and the typical dark gloss black. The wheel arches all throughout are finished with plastic black cladding. So this is far more durable for Canadian roads where we get all kinds of debris, and come wintertime, salt too. This prevents all that kick up coming on and going right onto your painted wheel arch. Instead, plastic, you won't feel too bad about if it picks up a stone or a few stones. The rear of the vehicle, everything okay, Adam? Okay. For our tail lamps, the housing is otherwise quite dark, so it almost gives the appeal of a tinted like tail lamp, but they are full LEDs, so when your vehicle is on and running, there is absolutely no denying they are incredibly visible and very, very bright. You also have our high-mounted stop lamp integrated into the spoiler, and hidden underneath is where we'll find our rear wiper. Now I'm going to open up our liftgate, and while this vehicle does have a power liftgate, may not be that quick. Now you can adjust the height. It's set to max right now. If I would like to maneuver it to be a bit lower, I'll simply manually adjust it and press and hold this button until it beeps, and that's how the car will tell me that it has saved its setting. For our rear area, we have almost 1,000 liters of cargo space. I believe it's actually a little bit more. When you get the hybrid versus the plug-in hybrid, there's a bit more usable space just due to the fact that the plug-in hybrid also accounts for a battery. Underneath the floorboard, we have our rear cargo tray, where you'll find a tire mobility kit. I'm gonna run inside the car and turn off the radio, because right now it is blasting the static station. How'd you guys know that was my favorite song? And then we'll come right back. You know, usually I joke that live stream car views mean anything can happen and we can't edit it out, but it's been a while since we've had a live stream car view where this much has happened in such a short time. So if this is your first time watching the Kia Hyundai channel, hi, my name's Gabi. Usually it's not this unprofessional, but if you're still here, why not stay? Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Anyway, underneath the floorboard, we have that tire mobility kit. So unlike the Kia Sportage hybrid, we don't have a proper spare. This is essentially an inflator with a sealant, and if you do pick up a nail and start to lose air from your tire, it'll plug that hole and reinflate your tire, allowing you to get to your nearest repair shop and get a proper replacement. Now, is this better? No, I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys, but it is quicker. And if you are someone who does not know how to change a spare tire and all you're doing is losing air in your tire, you don't need to completely replace it yet, this can get you back on the road much quicker. It doesn't require any heavy lifting. You don't have to watch a YouTube video on the side of the road. You can certainly get back to driving in 20 minutes. Spare tire, maybe not so much. It can be a little bit more stressful. Now that's about it for our rear cargo area. I would like to highlight that on the sides or your sidewall of the vehicle, we have two levers to knock down your rear seats. The rear seats go down in a 60-40 split, the 60 portion being on the right-hand side or passenger side, and then the left-hand side being your 40. You can drop them both down, one or the other, totally up to you, and the seats do have an angle of recline to them, which we'll demonstrate on the interior portion. If you plan on towing with the Hyundai Tucson, it has a rated towing capacity of 2,000 pounds for the hybrid and the plug-in hybrid. And then along our rear bumper, we have our integrated parking sensors. So just like what I mentioned in the front, these circular sensors will let you know when you're getting a bit too close to something. There's also a backup camera, but you guys probably already knew that. And on top of the camera we also had placed on the front end, we'll have side view monitors mounted on your mirrors. Now these mirrors, or these cameras along the mirror, will show you exactly what's happening on your blind spot whenever you go to indicate a lane change or a turn. Very, very helpful if you are someone who does a lot of highway commuting because it shows you exactly what's happening. Still recommend doing a shoulder check, but it's just extra peace of mind. On top of that, the vehicle will beep at you and correct you back into your originating lane if you start to merge over while there is a vehicle there. In terms of fuel efficiency and fuel tank size, we have a fairly small gas tank. It is a 52-liter gas tank compared to the 54 of the regular gas Tucson. However, you will go a whole lot further on a smaller tank of gas. So on 52 liters and regular fuel, so no mid-grade, no premium, you are over 800 kilometers of distance to empty. Didn't test it on this car because our Hyundai dealership gave it to us with no gas and full of stickers fresh off the truck. But the Kia Sportage, which again has the same powertrain, the same fuel tank size, and roughly the same fuel consumption, is reading at 805 kilometers till empty, and that is brand new from factory. So that does not account for your actual driving conditions. If you're someone who does a lot of city driving, but you're really, really heavy on the throttle, and maybe you're not using the most out of your regen braking, you're always in sport mode, could you see it do worse? Absolutely, but you can also see it do better too. Rated fuel efficiency, I don't know if I mentioned this, 6.7 liters per 100 kilometers, that's combined for both highway and city driving. And I believe on Hyundai Canada's website, they rated 6.7 for the city, 6.7 for the highway, so of course the combined is 6.7. Now I was never good at math, but that math makes sense to me. Let's take a quick look at the inside before I hop in. The ultimate trim level, again, being as it is the top model, you'll get quite a few comfort add-ons. Biggest ones, in my opinion, will be the inclusion of a power passenger seat up at the front, but also a driver memory seat and ventilated front seats. Top of that, we have some advancements to the technology and the safety, mostly the driver assistance functions. So when you opt for this trim level, you'll get something called Highway Driving Assist. Highway Driving Assist is essentially a smart cruise control, but even smarter. It's going to constantly watch the vehicle ahead of you and make sure if they slow down, your car slows down too, automatically, all the way up to a complete stop if you hit stop and go traffic. It's also going to watch the lanes to make sure you're centered in your lane, again, at a safe distance from the car ahead of you, and adjust speed if the speed limit changes. So it'll take all of those things into account, and that's due to the fact that it has that forward-facing sensor, but also integrated navigation, so it knows exactly the limits of the highway that you're on. Which leads me into another addition that the ultimate trim level gets you, navigation. We'll talk more about that when we take a look at the head unit, but in the meantime, let's check out the door card. The door is going to have a mix of a fabric and leatherette soft touch material. Your memory seats are located right up at the top. These are the 2 save buttons. Don't worry though, there's a whole lot more than just 2 saves. You actually get 2 per user profile, and the vehicle has a grand total of 3 driver profiles. So that makes it 6 saves. For your sound system, it's a Bose premium sound. 8 speakers throughout the vehicle for crisp, clean audio, and you can, of course, make some fine-tune adjustments within the vehicle's head unit if you want a little bit more bass, a little bit more treble, whatever your preference is, you can fine-tune it. Along the door card too, I just want to highlight there is a little bit of gloss or piano black, whatever you'd like to call it. This does show fingerprints, but I will say they were tasteful in how much they put in this car. It's very different than what we see on the new Kia Sportage, so if you guys want a quick pan of the Sportage, let me know and I'll make sure to do it before this video ends. Your mirrors are not power folding on this vehicle, but they are power controlled and heated, all of which are controlled in this upper section along the door panel. Your front 2 windows are obstacle detecting and automatic or express, with your regular windows in the rear just being powered. And then you also have your rear window lock. For your door sills, we have Tucson Deluxe door scuffs, and then our pedals are just regular pedals, which was a little surprising to me. I kind of expected to see deluxe pedals. It's okay, I'll forgive you, Hyundai. Along the left-hand side, we have some quick controls for our electronic parking brake, that 12-volt battery reset I mentioned earlier, as well as your traction control, your liftgate release, and your brightness adjustment. Back to that 12-volt battery reset, like I mentioned, instead of grabbing those jumper cables when you wake up to a dead car, pressing that will send a jolt from the high-voltage battery to your 12-volt to wake your car up again. Now, if you find that your vehicle seems dead a lot, don't worry, it's not your car's fault. The vehicle, let's say you keep the key near it, so you keep it right beside it in the garage. That key is constantly making contact with the vehicle, making it want to unlock or lock, senses you're walking up close to it. And keep in mind, this vehicle has proximity entry. All of that constant communication is making the vehicle wake up and then go to sleep, and then wake up and then go to sleep, which drains your battery. So if you are someone who frequently leaves the keys either in your car or around your car at all times, try not to do that. And also make sure you don't leave your cabin lights on. Like any vehicle, if it's sitting for a while and a light or something is draining from it, you're going to wake up to a dead car. At least this one, you don't have to grab your jumper cables. Just a little button right over here. Steering wheel, let's get back to the vehicle and what it has. We have a leather-wrapped 3-spoke wheel. Beautiful satin chrome elements throughout, giving it a very classy look. The left-hand side has quick controls for your driver assistance, including a button to turn on or off your cruise control. This will automatically turn into highway driving assist if you're on a highway. You'll set your following distance with this bottom left icon, and then the speed, of course, with the plus and minus. This button along the right will turn on or off your lane centering or lane following assist, with a long press also turning off the lane keeping assist. Now, a lot of people get these two systems confused, and that's for a good reason. They have very similar names, and they're controlled with the exact same button. So lane keeping assist is indicated by a car with a lane around it, and then lane following assist is shown by a steering wheel with a lane around it, what the actual button on the steering wheel looks like. Lane following assist sees the upcoming changes and steers into them, so it's a bit like a cruise control for your steering, where lane keeping assist sees the lanes, sees when you're about to depart from them, and gives you a chime with a little bit of a vibration. I don't like that one. I like the first one. But you guys, with driving this vehicle, you'll find out what you like or what you don't like. Maybe you don't want any of it on. That is something you can do. So you can turn all of these systems on or off at your own discretion. Here's something interesting. This is called a driver attention warning monitor. So this watches your eyes. It's got little infrared sensors there to make sure you're paying attention, and that is of course tied in with your advanced driver assistance. Behind that though, we have a full 12.3-inch gauge cluster. You can change the theme of this if you're not a teal fan. As you can see, we have active readings of both our speedometer and our tachometer with an eco power band. Now the eco power band shows when you're largely drawing power primarily from the engine versus when you're in a more economic mode. Sorry, it's going to keep warning me about the 12 volts. Adam, do you mind opening the garage door? I'm just going to start the vehicle up completely so we have an annoyance-free live stream. So we'll have the vehicle on full power in its ready to drive mode instead of just accessory mode. There we go. Sorry you guys, a lot of beeping, but it will stop now. Of course, no fuel in the car right now, but on a full tank, we're over 800 kilometers. In our center screen, we can change between our current trip or our average fuel efficiency reading to our navigation, and then of course back to our lane safety. The very center screen is again 12.3 inches in size, and it's a full touchscreen. Once again, this vehicle just arrived from its shipyard, so it's still in its factory mode. I'm going to exit factory here. It'll switch back to user, and we'll get a quick look at what things normally look like in just a second. While the vehicle does that, I'll familiarize you guys with the layout. So just beneath our touchscreen area, we have physical buttons for our navigation and multimedia controls. So home button to jump me into the home screen, map to take me to map, and of course search, media, seek track, a programmable favorites button, and setup, all of which will take you of course to its corresponding menus, with the exception of favorites, which you can actually program to be whatever you would like within the vehicle's, conditions. You have your volume control on the left with the regular tune knob on the right too. So all of this feels very user-friendly, and it's so great to have physical controls, especially if you're planning on keeping this car for a long time. It's no secret that as vehicles get older, as technology gets older, things slow down. Looking at you, my 7th grade iPad, if I were to go pull that up right now, I do not think it would respond well. So having things like heated seats or, just general convenience functions always activated from a screen or flipping through menus is not necessarily convenient. I'm still a believer in having proper buttons. Okay, speaking of which, for the climate control, it's a mix of screen and dials. So these are haptic buttons with a screen layout. Anytime you click on them, they will illuminate to show you what level you've set and also provide you with a small chime. Because it's dual zone, I can have my temperature set as a driver where my passenger can have something separate, or we can sync it up. Our hybrid vehicles also have a driver-only function, so if it's just you commuting around in your car, you don't have to worry about heating or cooling the entire cabin. Heated steering wheel buttons right over there, and then of course your passenger's heated and ventilated seat is more so to the right side. Underneath your climate control screens, we have 2 USB-Cs, the one on the left being for data transfer and charging, and the one on the right simply for charging, and then a 12-volt converter. I'm going to give the camera back to Adam while we talk about some of the other cabin amenities. So your center console, you may notice, does not have your gear shift. Instead, it's all about convenience and what you might need to grab as a driver. So number 1, wireless phone charger. It's fairly large to accommodate modern phones that just keep getting bigger. And it is slightly elevated too, so your phone isn't sitting completely face down. The purpose of this is to, number one, accommodate for the larger cameras in phones now, but also to allow the heat to travel a bit more so your phone's less likely to overheat. If you've used a wireless phone charger before, you know they get hot. Beside it, we have two USBs, cup holders. This car is not that tech savvy, you guys. And then right up above, a button to turn on or off our parking sensors, our park view camera. By pressing this button, it'll summon the camera mode, which we can see a full top-down view, as well as either our front or rear cameras on the fly. If I was actively driving my vehicle, and let's say I was moving it forwards, approaching the garage door ahead of me, it would show me the corresponding, or the camera that would make the most sense. If I was triggering the front sensors, it'll show me my front camera. If I was reversing and it triggers the rear cameras, it shows me my backup camera. To the left of that, we have our auto hold brake function. This essentially holds you at a full and complete stop when active until you hit the gas, then it releases the brake. Mode over here will cycle between your drive and terrain modes. So you'll click the far left toggle to go between drive and terrain, and then you'll use the up or down toggle to cycle between either or. So in terrain modes, we have snow, mud, and sand. And for drive modes, we have Eco, Sport, and My Drive. Now, Eco mode will adjust the level of regenerative braking using your paddle shifters, and Sport mode will adjust your actual gear. So if I'm towing and I would like to manually be able to upshift or downshift, I would make sure I'm in Sport mode, so that way every time I go to indicate a paddle change or a paddle shift, it'll respond to gear shift ratios rather than that regen braking. If I go to Eco mode instead, using my paddle shifters, I can increase or decrease the level of regen, and we have our highest intensity now, which will of course trigger your rear brake lights. When you do have a higher level of regen, what you can expect is as soon as you let off the accelerator, you'll feel a pretty strong brake force from your car. Now that again is not using your mechanical brakes, it's instead using its electric motor. That powers back your battery. You don't plug this car in, it does all of its charging either from the gasoline engine running or by coasting and regenerative braking. Let's take a look upstairs for our sunroof. It's a full panoramic sunroof with a nice gray headliner. People don't notice that much on video, but in person you really feel a difference. Anytime you have a lighter headliner, it definitely gives the feeling of a more open cabin. And of course, anytime you have the sunroof open, definitely adds to that aspect too. The cover is completely powered, so it opens completely on the fly. You can have the glass pane closed, but the sunroof cover open. Whatever your preference is, you can stop it either way and make it truly what you'd like. Our overhead lighting is LED. Simply press on which light you'd like to be on, and it will summon. You've got a quick button for your roadside assistance, or SOS, and then an integrated auto-dimming mirror with home link. So this home link, you can program your garage doors to open or close. Back to our head unit. I couldn't show you guys it earlier because it was exiting shipping mode, but we have separate driver profiles, and the driver profiles are also linked to a fingerprint module. What that means is when I hop into the car, I can scan my finger and it goes right into my set driver profile, which is pretty cool. This also means that if you have multiple drivers in your household, having your own driver profile can minimize the amount of fights that you have, whether that's for media, favorite radio stations, but also addresses saved in the navigation. If you're driving the vehicle to work most times, but let's say your partner takes it one day, they go to click on work in the nav and it takes them to their partner's address, you don't have to worry about that if it's in your own driver profile. But also things like the ambient lighting. You may notice it's set to blue right now, but if I have it saved something else on a separate profile, it'll link and save whenever I make the change. So no fighting. Let's take a look at the back seats. Before we hop in though, when Adam gets out, he will show you guys the power passenger seat and just what controls we have there. Alrighty, so power adjustments for our passenger. You can see we have the height adjustment as well as our backrest. And we can tweak it to whatever our preference is. There's no lumbar support specifically on the passenger here, but nonetheless, with these quick controls, you can find a spot that's extra comfy. Now your back seats are that same leather material we have up at the front, and they're very wide. At least for the two main seats, you have a very, very supportive and spacious seat. The backrest is adjustable in its recline, like I mentioned earlier, because it's a 60-40 split. These two will fold together. This one will be separate. So let me knock mine back. This is the absolute max on the recline, and I'm pretty far back. I've got a lot of space. These seats will also be heated on the outer portions. So your two main seats heated with 3 different levels to choose from. The button to turn on the heated seat is right on your door panel, right above your window control. Your door handles are painted in silver for a nice contrast, be easier to find them. And then the backings of our front seats will have our mesh pocket behind the center console, our air vents, and then we have 2 USB-Cs along the bottom. Very happy the USB-Cs are illuminated, especially right now considering our lights just turned off again. You can always find them no matter what the ambient lighting situation is like outside. So really got to test it all out in today's video, you guys. If no one's sitting in the very center, you do have a cup holder or an armrest, whatever you want to use it as. Then we can drop that back in. And let me just adjust my seat back so we can get a better look at what headroom and legroom is like. Now, I probably wouldn't have the seats this upright in a regular passenger situation. It's a little criminal, a little bit too good a posture for me. Now, this is far more comfortable. Headroom-wise, you do lose a little bit anytime you get a sunroof, but we're still working with a lot of space here. I have my seat a bit further back than how I would normally drive, and as you can see, my knees are nowhere near touching the backing of the driver's seat. The seats, depending on how the driver has set theirs, you also have a good amount of space underneath. Of course, if they sit lower, that will change, but even in its lowest setting, there is a good amount of space. That is a scientific measurement. A good amount of space is approximately, what, 5 inches? I don't know. For your center hump here, although this is an all-wheel drive vehicle, so we can expect a drivetrain to be running down the middle, it's not too high up to the point where if you are sitting in the center seat, you're not lurched over in the fetal position. It is a bit more comfortable, and you do have room to put a foot on either side if your passengers beside you like you enough. Maybe they won't allow that. It's totally up to you guys. Now, I want to take a quick look at the comments, see what you guys have to ask as far as questions go, and then if you do want to check out some things in the Sportage equivalent, give me a heads up before this video ends, because I can make that happen right now, right here, right now. I'll take the camera from Adam, and we'll have a little peek, shall we? We are at 31 minutes, which is a little bit long, but considering everything that happened in this video, I feel like we've really gone through it together, you guys. How is the 2026 different to the 25? So there's really no major changes. It's largely a carryover model year. I know some people were expecting things to be removed. You know what, now that I think about it, I did not see the fingerprint module. It's mentioned that it still has it, but I do not see it, or at least I didn't see it. So maybe that's actually what was removed and they didn't tell me. All right, guys. Yeah, as far as I can see, looks like no fingerprint module. I'm glad we caught that before the video ended. It is still listed as far as Hyundai Canada's specs go. So Hyundai Canada, if you guys are watching this, that's not right. Let's see. Gabi, which model would you pick, the Hyundai Tucson or the Kia Sportage? I'm going to be so honest with you guys when I say the Kia Sportage. And not maybe for the reasons you might think. Maybe it is. I don't know, depending on if you've watched this channel long enough. For the Kia Sportage, you do get a lot more options. And what I mean by that is not necessarily the equipment within the vehicle, but the trim levels themselves. So the Sportage Hybrid has 3 trims, the EX, the EX Premium, and the SX. That gives a good variation of what you're looking at price point wise, what you absolutely need, what's just kind of extra fluff. If you just need a car with heated seats and a heated steering wheel that's a hybrid and will fit your family, Sportage EX, fantastic price point. It is the entry trim level and by no means does it feel basic. But if you also want all the bells and whistles, there's the SX, which is only $104 more than the Tucson I showed you here today. So a lot more trim line variation, and I do think I prefer the styling of the Sportage a bit more as well. For the Sportage, you also have the plug-in hybrid variant, which also has 3 trim levels, whereas the Hyundai Tucson only has 1 PHEV option, and that is exactly what I've shown you here today as far as equipment goes. You will only get the Ultimate, which is not bad. This is a great vehicle, but if someone wants an entry model PHEV, there's no Hyundai option for them. How does this compare to the N-Line Hybrid? So as far as performance goes, they're going to be the same. They have the same powertrain, same fuel efficiency rating. The N-Line is going to have far more aggressive styling in the sporty department. So our front grille or bumpers or rear bumpers, even your alloy designs, they are all sport inspired. So they are going to be a little bit more flashy. The car, in my opinion, I do think I like the exterior design of the N-Line more than the Ultimate. That's just my preference. For the interior, you will lose out on some of the extra comfort features like the memory seats and the ventilated front seats, but you will have sport bucket seats and you get red accents. It's going to be a little bit more of a fun interior instead of a luxe interior, if that makes sense. You still don't miss out on much, so if you do want a heated steering wheel, heated seats, all of that is still in the N-Line. And I will say, here in Canada, I do think a heated seat and a heated steering wheel is far more of a must-have than a ventilated seat, especially when all of our new vehicles have the ability to pre-cool the cabin from either the key fob or the BlueLink app. So you can kind of get around a ventilated seat, but a heated seat, there's nothing like it. If your back is hurting that day, oh my gosh. Cancel the massage appointments. Give me a drive in my car with a heated seat. I say that as someone who no longer has a vehicle with a heated seat, and I really feel the repercussions. All right, you guys, I'm going to quickly open a few doors on the Sportage to get you a feel for the layout and how it contrasts to the Tucson. So right away, of course, this is a very bold color to show you. It's going to look very, very different. The grille styling is completely Kia, so you got that digital tiger face grille. The lights are definitely more upright, but you do get the option for projector LEDs for both vehicles. So there's no real, I guess, advantage for the light. It's simply design preference. The hood is popped open a little bit right now if it looks a bit funky. Don't worry, we don't have the body panel gaps of a Tesla. That is just propped open. Wheel designs are quite different too, and we have a Goodyear tire instead of a Michelin. Cool thing about the Sportage, we have a power folding mirror where the Tucson does not have that available on any trim line. Horsepower and torque are going to be slightly different as per Kia's rating online is rating a bit higher than the Tucson, but they do have the same powertrain. So I guess the only real way to test that out is to do a drag race between the two and see which one wins. Just kidding, you guys. For fuel efficiency, they are the same as well too. For your rear on the Sportage, clean lines throughout, just like the Tucson. And similar to the Tucson, the housing of the tail lamp also has a lot of black, giving it that tinted or smoked out look. Full 360-degree camera is an option on the top of the line model. But again, we have two lesser models to choose from if I don't need all the bells and whistles. The interior has a suede upper seat back and a quilted pattern, with the SX model or top model also having a power passenger seat with the same controls. The interior has far less gloss black and instead has a metal finish. And then your heated seat, ventilated seat, and heated steering wheel controls are physical buttons instead of those screen style. Gear shift is a dial instead of the column-mounted shift-by-wire. And then your steering wheel is very different. I will say, complete honesty, I prefer the steering wheel on the Tucson, 100%. But the Sportage steering wheel is still okay. It's still heated, so that's what really matters. Both cars will have heads-up display. Sorry, let me flip this again. Both cars will have the heads-up display and premium sound systems. But while the Tucson has Bose, the Kia Sportage will have a Harman Kardon sound system. So slight tweaks between the two. Pretty much most things you could expect on either model will be available on the Kia or Hyundai equivalent, just sometimes with slightly different packaging. Okay, let's lift the camera. I'll just quickly check to see if there's any other questions. I see purple in host girl's hair. I don't think there's any purple in my hair. Maybe red. The interior seems more ergonomic, like in the Hyundai Kona, for the Tucson or the Sportage. Glenn says Sportage, as much as we love the Tucson. Yeah, I do think the Sportage, in my opinion, is the better car. But a lot of that comes down to the fact that there is more option on the Sportage. Design is always going to vary, so you might be totally into the Tucson or you much prefer the Kia. Either way, one car is not technically better than the other as far as specs go. It really just comes down to what you want in a vehicle and what's, of course, available. Alrighty. Does this model here have a moonroof, or is this considered a pano roof? So this is considered a panoramic roof. Now, depending on who you ask, the answer may vary, but I typically consider a moonroof or a dual sunroof as when you have your typical sunroof in the front, and then a bar separation, and then another sunroof in the back. And then usually you have two separate covers for either or. They'll come in like this or come out like that, depending on if you're opening or closing them. But usually it's the illusion of two different glasses, but it's really only one separated by a bar barrier. I don't know if that's technically the correct term, but that is what I consider a moonroof. Okay, what else? I'm now on my 9th Nissan in the last 30 years, and I've loved them all. Versa, Murano, Rogue ×2, Frontier, Altima ×2, Sentra, Maxima, and all I can say is I've never had an issue with any of my Nissans. That's fantastic. I will say, my grandpa, he is, I think, 77, 78 years old. He is still driving his X-Trail stick shift. That car needs to die. It has to go. But he keeps driving it. I don't think that car has ever been serviced because he doesn't speak a lick of English, and I can't imagine him ever going to a repair shop asking for an oil change. So how that vehicle's running is beyond me, probably purely out of spite, but he is whipping that thing like it's no tomorrow, and it's still alive. So that is something. Let's quickly go through. Describe the Tucson in a single word. Bold. I would say bold. I find that the HDA makes long drives like 2 or more hours easier because you don't need to be focused as much and it's more relaxing. Yes, so that is exactly what it's meant to do. Be a driver's aid or driver's convenience, not necessarily a full autopilot or a full takeover. You absolutely still have to be paying attention if you are using something like Smart Cruise Control or Highway Driving Assist, but it does take away some of those extra minor corrections that you would be making on a vehicle without it. So I know in my truck, I have to constantly be equating for the fact that my alignment is out of whack. So I'm always giving pressure to my steering wheel, whereas a vehicle with Highway Driving Assist takes a lot of those micro controls off your hands and keeps you centered and all that stuff. Maintains your speed, maintains the following distance. So it is a great function to have for sure. And I will say I've got to run to our Hyundai store because I'm filming something really cool with them. So take care, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if this is your first video, I'm sorry about the chaos. It gets better, I promise. And we hope to see you again in tomorrow's video. Bye-bye.